Space Jam was my jam. What happens when you combine an exciting sport with iconic cartoon characters? You get a classic. Space Jam was my favorite movie growing up. I was never deeply enamored with basketball, but when Bugs or Michael Jordan jammed, basketball seemed like the coolest thing ever. That's probably why I've seen this film over 30 times. I'm not exaggerating. Go ahead, you can ask my mom.
Yes, son. You've seen Space Jam 3,000 times.
Space Jam is a 1996 basketball isekai about an athlete defending the Looney Tunes from alien enslavement. It's a little crazier than I remember. I've recently revisited the film out of nostalgia, and I've got a lot to say. Let's jam straight into this. The movie starts with Michael Jordan announcing his early retirement from basketball. We then travel to the failing space amusement park, Moron Mountain. Swaghammer demands his workers to get new attractions. They hatch an idea, enslave the Looney Tunes as permanent performers. Thus, Swaghammer sends his minions to Earth. We jump ahead to Jordan's baseball career. It's not going so well. We meet his publicist, Stan Podolak. Stan comforts MJ by leaning over the railing and immediately dying. The minions blast into the ground. The Looney Tunes live in the underworld. More on that later. The aliens give Bugs a warm greeting. Jordan's family watches a Roadrunner cartoon, but suddenly, Peter Porker dismantles the broadcast and calls for a town meeting. Once there, the aliens threaten to abduct all the Looney Tunes as permanent employees. With Bugs' skillful negotiation, both parties agree to settle the case with a basketball game. To get an edge, the aliens go incognito, turn into slime, and suck out talent from 5 NBA players on live television. No one bats an eye. The aliens flex their new vibes as the Monstars, forcing Bugs to search for help. Meanwhile in 3D land, Jordan, Stan, Bill Murray, and some guy play golf. But Bugs kidnaps Michael into Toonland. Michael's friends are taking it pretty well, all things considered.
I think Michael's all right. Boy, I hate to leave him like this.
Oh, I'm sure he's fine. I think he just had to get away from that Stan character.
He crashes into Toontown. Bugs unleashes his inner pansexuality.
What I'm trying to say is, we need your help!
Time for a training montage. They head to the gym and meet Lola Bunny. Despite this film treating her as eye candy, I actually like Lola's design. It's too bad she doesn't do much. Before he starts training the Toon Squad, Michael needs to retrieve his sports attire. Bugs and Daffy go Metal Gear Solid at Jordan's place and pick up his gear. The dog almost annihilates them, but his kids come to the rescue. The duo sneaks back to the golf hole, and who's there but our old pal Stan? Can we just appreciate that Stan's been digging this hole?
He's fixing a divot!
Divot for the past 24 hours? That's dedication right there. He stalks Bugs and Daffy. With his old kicks, Jordan gets into his groove while Fly Like an Eagle plays. Now's a good time to mention, the music is incredible. Side note, did you know there's an option on the DVD that plays the music only track? How awesome is that? I wish more films had that option. Stan soon meets up with the Toon Squad and becomes a bench warmer. Meanwhile, the 5 NBA players struggle with their lack of talent in another movie.
Where you find yourself unable to perform?
Yeah.
The NBA cancels the season, suspecting it's coronavirus. We cut immediately to the big game. Wait, where's the training montage? You know, the part that's in every sports movie? Well, there's none. Who needs time for character growth? Not Space Jam. The Toon Squad and the Monstars begin the game. The aliens dominate.
Ooh.
At halftime, Michael tries boosting team morale. The Toons are like, what are we, some kind of Toon Squad? Bugs decides to play some psychological warfare and relabels his water ball as special stuff. It buffs him up. The other Toons fall prey to his swagger and charisma and soon believe in themselves, fueled by the stuff. Now it's time for the Toons to kick tail. Seeing the stakes raised, the alien boss strikes a deal with Jordan. If Jordan wins, the aliens must relinquish their talent. If the aliens win, Jordan becomes their slave. The monsters switch it up and pulverize the Toons. Stan finally makes it on the court, but it doesn't go so well. Bill Murray comes to the rescue. How did he get here?
Just how did you get here, anyway?
Producer's a friend of mine, just had a teamster come and drop me off,
Well, that's how it goes.
With 10 seconds left on the clock, Toon Squad gives it their all. Jordan performs a super jump, but the Monstars impede. He stretches his arm and makes the score. Toon Squad wins! The Monstars, realizing they don't have to take his crap anymore, fire their boss into outer space. They transfer the professional talent back into Jordan's ball. Jordan gives it back to his NBA buddies and then gets back into the game. Space Jam leaves me with mixed emotions. As an adult, it's an amazing trip down memory lane. Unfortunately, it's also a jumbled mess. This acid trip left me disoriented. First up, the story isn't good. Like, at all. It's super contrived. There is zero character development, and while that's fine for a 5-minute short, for a 90-minute crossover, you need more meat. The acting is perplexing. Half of the time, the actors are either dazed or puzzled. I don't expect NBA players to be Oscar-worthy, but that's all they do in this movie. The actual actors, like Bill Murray and the obese dude, are weird additions. Stan is just the odd one out, and Murray, like the film eloquently points out, is here because of his producer friend. The Looney Tunes themselves are good, except for Lola Bunny. She's often criticized for her shallow personality and blatant sex appeal. I do agree with those points, yet I personally didn't mind her presence. But yeah, she doesn't add much other than turning a whole generation of children into furries. The animation holds up. The 2D work is amazing. The 3D stuff, such as certain environments, look rough by today's standards. But hey, for 1996, I'll give it some slack. Earlier, I described this film as an isekai, and in a way, it kind of is. In anime discourse, the term isekai describes any story where the protagonist is forced to adapt to a strange world. Half of this film is Michael adjusting to the underground cartoon society. Think about it. The Looney Tunes live underneath civilization, and their lives are broadcasted to millions of children. They inspired the modern furry fandom. Case in point, Bugs Bunny. He's a pansexual icon. The Looney Tunes work under corporate overlords, and they get no royalties.
You know all those mugs and t-shirts and lunchboxes with our pictures on them? You ever see any money from all that stuff?
Not a cent.
Me neither.
We gotta get new agents. We're getting screwed.
In my opinion, they should just start a union. And you want to know what Jordan's response to this is? He acts bewildered, but he plays along.
Michael, do you know that your friends are cartoon characters?
Yeah, so?
No, doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me.
He valiantly leads the Toon Squad. He literally alters his body to cartoon physics, which leads to victory. Space Jam invented the modern isekai. Antics aside, this film is very disorienting. Space Jam is unabashed fun, but the weed-induced plot left me a bit exhausted. Don't get me wrong, I really liked the visual gags and the slapstick humor, but what's not forgiving are some technical aspects. These are my technical post-production critiques, so I'll keep it brief. The structural editing, which is the overall placement of scenes, is atrocious. Some cuts are fine, while others have no transition whatsoever. I mean, it's a miracle I can even follow this incoherent script. The audio levels are atrocious. It gets super soft, but then randomly shoots up before hitting distortion. Let me give you a demonstration. This is how a normal human scene plays, and then this is how they do it in Space Jam. The mix is just like that. These gaps are the size of the Grand Canyon. I had to constantly readjust my volume. If there's one more positive, I really like the DVD. It has a ton of great music videos and a commentary track from the crew. If you plan on watching this movie, get the DVD that came out in 2000. Overall, Space Jam is a fun yet disorienting acid trip. I still hold a lot of nostalgia, but even nostalgia has its limit. Before you ask, I'm well aware they're making Space Jam 2 next year. As a Looney Tunes fan, I'll check it out. In the meantime, I recommend watching Looney Tunes Back in Action. It's a really solid follow-up. Plus, it has a decent story. Alright, let's slam straight into the highlights. First up, killer soundtrack. It's no competition. Space Jam's music is legendary. Secondly, Acid Trip the movie. From a mechanical level, it makes little sense. It overwhelms your senses, and the script is the definition of insanity. And lastly, childhood relic. Despite my bashing, I still have fond memories with Space Jam. It's one relic I'll hold close in my heart. I give Space Jam a 2 out of 5. Thanks for watching. Did you grow up with Space Jam? Let's discuss our memories in the comments below. I'll see you on the next episode of LOGtv Television. Remember, no aliens were harmed in the making of this video.